Evening, folks. Tonight we're live streaming both video and audio again. Those are available for you without the necessity. Those recordings are available to you without the necessity of filing an open records request. And the feedback I've gotten has been pretty positive.
Robeson Township Supervisors meeting to order at 7 o'clock with the pledge of allegiance and moment of silence for all military personnel. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Mr.
Here.
Mr. Bittler.
Yes.
I'm here. All right, we'll do citizens' concerns. Anybody have any citizens' concerns this evening? All right, your name and address, please.
Me?
Yep.
Okay, my name is Dr. Claudia Bohoric. This is my husband, Dr. J. Wesley Bohoric. We live on High Sky Lane. We have 3 issues related to basically the roads that we'd like to have some answers about. One's about the trees, one's about the train, and the other one's about the bridge. Saturday, we were driving on Cocalico Road coming eastbound after crossing, what's that street? No, it's further out. White Bear Road. And it was perfectly calm, the sun was shining, and a tree just like broke. It fell in front of our car and just missed our car. And it was like a big tree. So we drove down Cocalico Road kind of looking, and there are dead trees all over the place. I talked to my neighbor, and she told me that there was someone that a tree fell on a couple of years back or whatever. So we'd like to know why these dead trees are not being taken down on the road, because we were almost killed by this tree. Okay, the second thing is the railroad tracks on Cedar Hill Road are unsafe. And I'd like to know why there is no train signal and why the brush is not being cut. The other day, about a month ago, we came from 724, it went to go across the road, and there was a train right in front of us. Because of the brush, you couldn't see it, and he hadn't sounded his horn. So I don't like the idea, and when you come down the road, a lot of times they park their cars so that you cannot see the track that is the live track where the trains come. So you can't see if a train's coming, and there's no light. Down in Birdsboro by the park where H&K is, they have a light there, and there's like no cars, it's a park. And I would like to know why a road where there's a lot of houses, a lot of traffic, why there is no train signal there. That's the second thing. And the third thing is, I'd like to know why the bridge on Rock Hollow Road is not being repaired and what the plans are for that. So that's what concerns me.
We can do the bridge first, Ron. Do you have any thoughts on the bridge and how that's?
So the bridge is going to be repaired. It is under permitting and design as we speak. It's a lengthy process. It was closed rather abruptly due to a failure because a very heavy piece of equipment went across that bridge unpermitted. So we had to pivot some priorities, but that is under design and is scheduled for repair this year.
Is the heavy equipment operator being asked to pay for part of this?
We were not there to cite them, but that's my understanding is that an overweight truck caused a crack in the bridge.
But we got a grant for it, so we're not paying for that when we swapped it out with another one. And got all about that, correct, Ryan?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, now the train thing is always a problem. Now that's come up many times over the years, and the answer normally is what the PUC, the Public Utility Commission. I don't know if you know more about that since, I know most of the time the train gets fined if they're doing things, what's it, $50 is the last time I heard, so.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Yeah, exactly, so they don't care when they're parked there, they don't care that they're whatever, and I think the PUC is in charge of the potential signal, because that's come up before, and it's not a township thing. I know we've done letters to them before, anywhere from them sitting there for 2 hours, no, it's not necessarily 2 hours, but them sitting there to track, and people beeping and can't get through, and worry about emergency vehicles and stuff.
I've
Like I
seen
said,
that too.
they get fined, like I said, I think $50 if the police are called, they get cited, so I think it's $50.
So can a letter be written again, or?
We can do another letter, I mean,
Let me say this, because I've had some experience, with the railroad right-of-way issue in West Reading and in Topton, it's the Norfolk Southern right-of-way. If generally, the best thing to do is contact Norfolk Southern itself rather than contacting the PUC about it. They do have a real estate division and real estate office, and you can talk to them about maintenance of the right-of-way immediately around their crossing. Either for them to, most likely for them to cut brush along their right-of-way. There are some things that if they're alerted to a condition, they will do. Certain things they will not do, clearing snow, for example, on the right-of-way. And they, to a certain degree, they will allow municipal workers to clear brush, although that involves a very detailed license agreement that takes a long time. As I said, I've had some contact for West Reading and especially for Topton and Norfolk Southern. Let me dig up the contacts that I have from that experience, and Chris, I'll get them to you to give to Rich.
Yeah.
In fact, I think we're on this phone, I can look them up right now and just pass them along to you.
So you're telling me to cut brush?
No, what I'm saying is that Norfolk Southern has a right-of-way and real estate division, and they have representatives for certain areas. I have contacted them with some success in the past in getting, not this exact problem, but some similar problems resolved. And no, we do not expect private citizens to go into the right-of-way, and it's not desirable for township workers to do it either.
Well, after that train thing, I'm ready to go down there with my weed whacker.
We prefer you didn't do that, that's
Well,
not
I
safe.
prefer
to
not
do
getting
that.
hit by a train too.
I don't want you injured or in trouble for trespassing, but I have some contacts that I've used in the past, and I'll locate them and pass them along to Chris and to Rich to possibly contact Norfolk Southern and see if some action can be taken.
Harold, Steve, you should remember.
We didn't address her third request.
well, he might have a response to the second part first.
I do, about the trade. So if I recall, part of the developer's agreement for the development that's going in down there requires them to make certain upgrades to that crossing. And I think some of them were done, but I'm not so sure that lights weren't part of that deal.
Well, when you're talking about grade crossing improvements, that's something that Norfolk Southern would address with the Public Utility Commission.
I think you're right, because part of that 724 is gonna be a 4-lane highway, there are gonna be turn lanes, everything else, but I of course don't have that plan memorized.
Yeah, I don't either, but I recall that there was upgrades the developer was required to pay for that crossing, and that may or may not resolve this.
I was gonna say, but what they were without
I have no idea.
we don't remember that, it's like too specific. Right, I mean, are you talking about the Cedar Hill subdivision? Yeah, I mean, that was a number of years ago, but I'm sure we have it in township files that we would be able to find exactly what grade crossing improvements that they were required to get, for which they were required to get authorization and complete at developer expense. I mean, Norfolk Southern makes the improvements, but the expense, it's developer expense that you're talking about.
Alright, well, you can find some stuff out. Now, the third thing with the trees, I guess that's also another tough thing, because I know we have how many miles and roads that are long roads with trees and woods, and that would be a huge.
I'm talking about the dead ones that are.
Oh, I
ready
know,
to
but it's
fall
the
out,
same
not-
thing. I mean, most Robinson's in woods. I mean, somebody have to figure out if things are on the right,
I live on the
way
other side of the hill from you.
and
Okay,
and
so
stuff. I mean, I don't know if that's how we would
Rock Hollow from
deal
Cedar.
with that. How many
And
have somebody tree watching?
you know
and see
what, you can,
what's on
some of the
right.
trees you look at and they look dead. Those are still the ones standing at my house. Some of the ones through the woods who you thought you were alive have annihilated.
Well, it was the dead one that almost hit our
Oh,
car.
see, some of them
There's
are
no
in
way
the
to
township
know
right
that.
away, some of
Yeah,
them
but the
woods.
dead ones are the ones that are
Are
likely.
you talking
to
the one
fall.
that was right at White Bear, about 20 feet up?
Yeah, we were the ones who
it-
called the police about it.
It fell about 30 seconds before I got there. I think Corporal Cooper actually was flagged down when we showed up. That tree was well alive. It was covered in poison ivy, green leaves. It was
I have a picture
that was
of
an
it.
anomaly. I looked up from where it came from. I don't know why it fell.
Right
I think I don't know why, it just was too heavy for itself and it dropped. Not disagreeing there's dead trees, but that was, I think, one of those anomaly trees. That thing was green and covered in poison and green leaves, so. I understand, but it's hard, like Chairman Smith said, where do you start, where do you stop? If it's evident it's leaning, falling, about to go, sure, we'll take care of that, but in that instance there, cause I pulled up on it.
If you still have the right of way.
Yeah, the right of way, and that was
Someone's property or.
You
very
were the
tough.
chainsaw?
Was
Were
that?
you the chainsaw guy?
No, I pulled in right as he was starting to saw up.
Yeah, well, we were on the other side.
I mean, we can ponder this, because I mean, it's gonna be, you know, how do you fix it in the right of way, whose property it's on, whose trees, who's paying for it.
We try to keep ours by the trimmed, but, or cut if they're gonna fall, but like I said,
Well, if there's a hazard, you should give a letter to the property owner and say that,
We've
you know,
done
you've
that
got a
before.
dead
We've
tree.
done
that
that.
you
We've
might
done
put
that
down.
the whole route.
We've done that before.
Well,
When someone notices it, and they find out it's on their property, you've sent letters.
Isn't there a right of way, like so many
Yeah,
feet from the
and then
center?
somebody has to figure out whose it's on, is it on our right of way, if it's on their property, and then if it's on their property, we send a letter. We did that a few months ago, something, I think.
Well, there's a lot of trees like that on
Oh.
Ocala Hill.
Any other citizens' concerns? Name and address, please.
Robert Caldwell, 142 Old River Road. This was like 2 months ago, we did the speed limit on our road. When's the sign getting put up?
That was supposed to be soon, because the chief said that.
Yeah, the ordinance was just enacted.
we just did
Last
the
meeting?
ordinance on
Yeah.
Thursday.
I missed it.
Yeah, so we did it on Thursday.
Just wanted to know, because the guys, I mean, there was one the other day, it was like 60, 70
Yeah,
miles.
no, it's happening, I don't know
We
when
did it.
exactly, so.
Alright, and then you guys took care of the sewer, that's all fixed,
That's being, well, you probably see them, because they've been doing stuff.
not on my street.
Unless they're up for it.
It's up on the hill.
Don't they have to deal with Killian first, up that direction? Yeah,
Is it- was it
Cypher, right
tracks?
before Killian, it's right in there.
What work has been done on that?
Well, they've televised the lines, they've done, I guess somebody was supposed to come today, Harold, somebody today, coming again today, is that what he said last night?
So yeah,
Was John, did he say they were coming again today?
I don't know that he did. If he did, he kind of forgot it, but
Yeah, but well, they've televised, they've started to fix some things up further, they're
They-
trying to figure things out.
yeah, they found some nice size gaps in the terracotta, what under the railroad track up the
Yeah,
hill.
what's up there?
Yeah.
And it's been lined and so far it looks good, but
Because
you
we
won't
haven't
know
had
it
any rain except for the
No, well, we're getting some of it now, so,
Yeah, it would
It's
take a
not
lot
enough.
for it to show through.
It would seem to be.
but it started at the top. So starting at the top, it runs downhill, so we'll figure out if it's getting
Well, that's
fixed.
not the water we worry about.
Yeah, we
Well,
can care less about the water.
I know, it doesn't, but it's all liquid.
Right.
How's that? Liquid.
It would seem to me as a township, we would do a little better job of communicating, with the residents. I think that's a problem where I've not seen these videos yet. And, I think when the board as a whole doesn't have the information, it's hard to, for us to disseminate that to the residents. So I just don't, I think we've been, derelict in our duties. I also suspect that that's not the only problem. And it's really disconcerting to me to see on township roads, at some point, at least by my recollection, at least 2 times have been paved over. The manholes have been paved over. I said a few months ago here on my farm, the manholes are, you're not able to locate them, they're inches under. So my own position is that we've not been maintaining our system.
No, we
To
could,
that-
actually,
to that-
we could have, John and Keith maybe write something up of what's been done, I mean, they presented at the meetings.
Well, the problem is, Chris, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. We haven't really maintained the system, at least in my observations, with routine and regular maintenance for years. And now with an older system, I think we all need to look at the lease. I've seen nothing, on that. I was not able to make the sewer. There was an authority meeting last evening. That again has been preserved on YouTube. If you'd like to see that, I wasn't able to make that meeting, but it's a unique relationship between the township and we have a separate authority called a municipal authority. And that's a contractual relationship, a legal relationship, which our solicitor knows well. So I think at a minimum, I'm really concerned with the way we've handled our residents' concerns.
Any other citizens' concerns?
Just so you know, I have located the information on contacts of the right-of-way specialists at Norfolk Southern, and I'm sending them to Dr. Smith and to Mr. Howard as
No,
well.
for everything.
Yeah.
Can you send that, Joan, as a routine matter, can you put the entire board or those board members on there? So I don't have to rely on our chairman to forward that?
Sure. Glad to have it over here.
All right, correspondence, we talked about that workshop, if anybody has anything for CSAP, deadline August 31st. Try also.
Mr. Chairman, can I interrupt for 1 second? I appreciate the courtesy. I make a motion to take the meeting out of order and address the Scout project rather than wait.
That's okay, we'll finish correspondence, because I only need to wait 10 more seconds. Anyway, the GP11 permit, we talked about that in Thursday. No problem, we jumped around last one Thursday.
So I'll make a motion that we take the agenda out of order and address our,
Just change it up for the Eagle Scout project, your Park and Rec, we'll go down there, and assuming that's you,
It is.
or at least the leader. Say your name, please.
Andrew Rimby from the Scoutmaster Troop 529.
Okay, so what's happening?
So I have in contact with Parks and Rec, knowing that they were planning to do a number of renovations over in Gibraltar Park. I have a prospective Eagle Scout that was interested independently and talked to me about doing repairs for specifically around the dugouts and around the baseball field as part of his Eagle Scout project and giving back to the community. Since I had the understanding about what the Parks and Rec was already doing, I paired him up with the Parks and Rec department. He's already been in contact with the Parks Department on multiple occasions, as well as the township manager. Has gone through and provided his proposal that has been greenlit by myself, our committee chair, and then was presented to Mr. Howard for the beneficiary's signature from Robeson Township's perspective on this, as well as his signature from our Hawk Mountain Council that it is an approved project to be worked on. It was brought to my attention that the board was interested in discussing the project as well. I'm happy to field any questions. Unfortunately, the scout in question wasn't able to safely transport it tonight. He is up at summer scout camp, where I'll be returning to after this. But he is planning to be here on August 8th if there are questions specific to the scout or anything else about the project that I can answer this evening.
will you be prepared to make a brief presentation to us?
He can be, yes.
When's he plan on starting? Does he?
About starting the physical work or starting the project, because part of it, a lot of the projects when they're going through and doing it is the planning project that goes throughout before even the physical part comes in, identifying what it's going to be, fundraising for materials as needed. I know in this case, we are still, even though it is part of the Parks and Rec budget, he's still reaching out to certain suppliers to see if we can get some materials at cost or get some things donated to help alleviate some of the budgetary concern for Parks and Rec. He is already talking about scheduling days to be able to start work. I believe we are looking at the end of this month, and we put a term of it to be finished hopefully by the end of October. That way we can be flexible in work days to get this work done between the already existing schedule of people that are using the field and his commitments and concerns outside of scouting.
So he has the schedule of any sporting events that are there, I guess.
We have a time frame that we're working on this. He is working, and he and I are actually meeting later this week while we're up at Scout Camp to kind of discuss from a project perspective. I know he's bringing in outside individuals that he works with at BCPC and have a little bit more of a specialized nature in helping to repair the snack bar, which is part of his project. We are already in contact with the painter as far as donating the paint and getting the right color scheme so that he can provide those materials and coming up with our equipment list, all of that kind of stuff in order. I can certainly provide actual dates when we're looking to do the physical work, if that's something that people will be interested in.
I think it'd be a huge benefit to the park there. Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions until he comes on in August?
No, not one. And we ran you all the way here to explain that to us.
It's no worries. Happy to answer any questions, make sure there's no concerns about what's
So
going
that
on.
paper you have is actually his.
This is his copy of his proposal. It's a little messy. I also have his notebook of notes and drawings and things that he's been working on here as well. So I basically grabbed all of his paperwork because my copy's still at my house and I wasn't able to run over and grab it before the meeting. But this is also available. I know that Rich has an online, an emailed copy of it. I can provide that as well, or he can provide as well. We can send the PDF version out of the project proposal and what was proposed to be done for this to everybody on the board as well for review.
You know, and everybody's got it.
Sure.
Nobody can say I didn't see it,
Absolutely.
it wasn't provided, so just.
So the one question I would have, would you want him coming on the 8th to do a little presentation on this, or would you prefer it toward the end of the project to propose and kind of showcase what has been done as part of the work?
Both, right? You
Both,
can
okay.
always do the beginning and then
Not a problem.
when he's 3/4 of the way through, kind of say what's been done and how much improvements he's done.
Okay,
So if you could email Rich that and then.
certainly,
send it to us.
absolutely.
Before we move off the park and rec, if we're done with that presentation,
I don't know, anybody
Unless
else have
anyone
any
has any other
questions?
questions, concerns?
Any other thing you wanna add? Anyone else you wanna add?
Just that, I know that Mr. Bittler pointed out before that there have been a number of scout projects that have been done in Gibraltar Park. This is actually gonna be a continuation or renovation of an existing 529 Eagle Scout project, so we are also examining the possibility of getting a plaque to show that, you know, what the original project was in building those dugouts many years ago. And now this is the refurbishment of keeping up with that and kind of honoring the previous Eagle Scout, who's actually no longer with us, and what the work is that he and the troop had done at that point there too. So it's been a good source of pride within our troop that we can give back to the community. I know that what we're going to be going through and doing work, my standard thing is you're wearing your 529 gear. We want it shown in the community how we are helping and we are giving back and we are trying to do the best we can as well too, so.
It's
happy to
nice,
help.
it's nice to recognize where it started and how it's been renovated, because it gives everybody else a sense of accomplishment
Absolutely,
and pride in what they've done, so.
and he should. The amount of work I know he's gonna put into
I don't mean
this.
this route, I already know how the Girl Scout work, the Girl Gold work.
Mhm.
We've been down that road, so yes, there will be a lot of work in it, because neither you nor Becky were gonna get it otherwise.
Heck no.
Sorry.
Fine.
All right, well, thank you very much.
one of the problems, ma'am, to address you in the rear, Doctor and Doctor, I showed my two colleagues to my immediate left a picture of the, I'm gonna pass my cell phone around, picture of our playground down there. And the picture reveals I'm gonna say a half-dead sycamore. One of the problems we struggle with is balancing, our costs. Here we have, to remove all of the dead trees, not to mention some things coming in on by the chairman, our legal right-of-ways, et cetera. Here we have a clear issue, observed, known and present danger. We'll get to it, I've alerted the board now. We own that property, we have an absolute obligation to do that. And our resources are stretched thin when we can't really even, and it's not just today that this is dead. When we struggle to maintain our own property, it's difficult. Now there are similar, I'm not gonna comment for our solicitor, but there are similar, I'll say township liabilities incurred, with not maintaining, our roads properly either. So the other thing that the picture shows, gentlemen, is we weren't able to comment on the workshop session, but one of the reasons, people ask why I voted no to the payment of certain bills. We have a regulation high school basketball court there, that the lining of it is not completed. One problem with this board is, as a supervisor's name would imply, we're in charge of making sure projects get done the way they should. Anybody who looks at that basketball court, it's just plain sad. For someone who I live and grow up next to that.
But the
And for
people
us
who
to,
don't play
I'm not
basketball,
done, ma'am, I'm not done.
You'll never be
And for-
done, we know that. You will continue to nag. People who don't play basketball wouldn't realize that, so I could go look at that and think the rest of the work they did was
We
excellent.
talked about that, and
We've already covered
Send the Boy Scouts over to paint it.
I wasn't done, Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Steve, but the reality of the situation is we pay bills when they shouldn't be paid. We don't have a mechanism to make sure the work is done properly.
And we cause bills we don't need by creating drama.
What's that?
All right, hold on, Harold, go ahead.
I
What's that?
I thought that we authorized that sycamore tree to be taken down by Dave Spark last year when Galen actually brought it before the
I mean,
board.
I'd have to look back, we talked about it, I don't remember the motion that we brought.
I think we did.
Not possible.
I don't think it was taken down.
Oh, that was another
That
one?
was the one behind the dugout.
Okay. So there's a second one.
Amend the agenda, since it is I think that's exactly what we did with Campbell last time, was it? We amended the agenda because it was viewed as
Another complaint we've got is that if the board could speak up, it's captured then on the audio. When we're talking over each other, we're talking too softly, you can't hear that.
Joe, could we, with that tree, since we've done it before, we did when Gail was on the board, since it's potentially an emergent thing, and we did change the agenda, whatever month that was, to ask.
I would agree, if it's a potentially emergent, situation with a dangerous tree, I would suggest that you amend the agenda to
So I'd like to make a motion, we amend the agenda to add the agenda of the tree that Supervisor Bittler discussed, so anyone like to second that motion?
Second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Now, since we may change the agenda, anyone have any comments on the change?
My comment is we need to take the tree down ASAP.
Well, then does someone like to make a motion that we have,
Oh my God, I make a motion, we take the tree down.
but we should, you need to make a motion that we do that, contact Spark, and I'm assuming, I don't know what we said for the cost, not to exceed.
I don't think we have a choice.
Alright,
That's gonna say.
so we just
So we
make a
can
motion.
make it take the tree down.
Alright, so Joy made the motion to contact Spark and take the tree down, we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Mrs. Joy,
Yes.
Mr. Gallow,
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mr. Bittler.
Yes.
Robert, yes. Alright. Anything else with Parks and Rec? You can jump back up to number 4. You can stay if you want, you can go back.
Appreciate that, I have scouts to get back. Thank you for your time.
Have a fun week.
Number 4, anything?
Please let the rains come and the heat break.
It
Sir.
only breaks for a short time, Andrew, good luck.
So, sir, why don't you introduce yourself for our general public?
I'm Corporal Joe Cooper. I'm taking over Rimby's place. He's on vacation for this meeting. So I'm here to take over his spot. It's nice to meet everybody. Nice to see everybody come. So in the past, we had complaints about people speeding on Route 10. Last month, we conducted 31 traffic stops on Route 10. We had 63 stops altogether within the township. We plan on continuing doing traffic on Route 10. Right now, it's the busy time of the year. We're handling calls left and right. We're gonna try to keep getting out on Route 10 to stop the speeding. Just to give everybody a heads up, especially the board, on Sunday at 11:30 at night, we had a burglary at Emily's Pub. That's currently under investigation. The guys are doing a great job doing follow-ups with what they need to do. So that's what we had as of since Thursday when we got our house.
Do they have cameras? Do
They have cameras, yes.
Anything else for you?
That's all I have.
Anybody have any?
In the summer, will the bike patrols continue and or expand?
I gotta get with Officer Slavin, and we discussed it before at the beginning of summer about getting out doing patrols, and I think he was gonna reach out to Carnarvon Township. There's a couple guys that are qualified for the bike patrols. The area that I mentioned before was the borough watershed property, and then they said something about the trail right here.
I suggested the trail in Gibraltar in particular. I understood there was gonna be some kind of joint effort with our department and
Yeah, I think it was with Carnarvon, maybe somebody from Cumro, which that would make sense since we're, the trail goes into Cumro Township. I believe Officer Schlabman is back on next week, not this week, next week. I will talk to him again about it, and then I'll see what we can do.
you
Hey,
have to
Creek.
forgive me, are there whites on those bikes? I just don't know.
Yeah.
There are. Have you, there was a recent situation where our crime alert was not functioning. Is that up and functioning now, to your knowledge?
That I don't know. That not off the top of my head, but I can find out for you.
If you don't mind,
Yeah.
maybe somebody could shoot him. And we had a number of citizens concerned with the breakout, which I understand the second individual was apprehended. And I think we need to do something aggressively where our township is notified more aggressively or more efficiently than not at all.
Okay.
Maybe we can reach out to whoever runs that.
Yeah, Sergeant Ruby, I guess we talked about on
Yeah.
Thursday, he was gonna check on it, but he's not here, so.
Yeah, we discussed that on Thursday, you're correct.
Yeah, so. Yeah, anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we got finance, anyone want to make a motion to accept the monthly expenditure report and sewer agent report in our possession?
Kinda have to pay the bills, don't we? I make a motion to pay the monthly bills.
Anyone accept all those reports there, the expenses, treasurer's report? and sewer?
Yes, and accept what's in our possession.
I'll second.
I made some comments previously on that sewer
Yeah.
aging report, and I requested a full audit of our sewer department.
Can we please continue? We did make a motion.
Well, do we wanna discuss, after a second, Ms. Breitenstein, you would think you would know this, there's time to discuss that motion, including the sewer aging report, which is not
Considering
accurate.
You were told
So it's
at the
not
third,
accurate. No,
at the Thursday
Well,
meeting.
is there
Well,
really
Joy,
something
Joy,
wrong?
Joy, last night at the sewage board, we did make a motion to recommend that the township staff review, I don't remember what the wording, verbiage was, I don't remember how that looked on the set, but to review the sewage agent report and, the whole process, so that was the motion was made,
So it seems like there's an
Well, that was-
audit in place, but there was discussion at that meeting about which staff is going to do what, was there not?
Well, I thought you didn't see a meeting.
Yes. Go ahead, Aaron.
Chris, I believe that motion was to recommend to this board,
But it's not, on
because
the-
you guys are the ones
it's
that
not on
make
the
that.
agenda, and Harold was gonna put, not Harold, Rich was gonna put it in the agenda for the workshop.
Yeah.
Because it's not an emergent thing, too.
Right.
Yes.
So it'll be involved.
All right, we had a motion and a second, roll call, Mrs. Joy,
Yes.
Mr. Gallow,
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes,
Yes.
Mr. Bittler,
Vote no.
yes. Now we're down to managers' comments, and we talked about this on Thursday, about the posting for chief of police, I don't know if anyone needs to make any corrections or thoughts on that paper email we received. If not, then we have the zoning hearing board solicitor, a resolution to amend the fee schedule, that's in our packet. I don't know what number that would be. Anybody has a number for that?
Well, before we get into that, I think the board and general public should be well aware, at least of my objection to amending these fee schedules and essentially raising fees, because we haven't lived within what we have been historically. So I don't believe we should have hired a law firm that requires us to essentially pay more money. And that's essentially what the purposes of these resolutions, is it not, Mr. Smith?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's not, oh yeah, it's we're not able to maintain the prior arrangements. And it's well known, I've opposed Ms. London's appointment here. She serves as counsel to our authority, those two distinctly separate difference. And I believe there's, a clear and present and continuing conflict. This board still does not, I still don't see the lease. I still don't know who is our attorney for that lease. The lease is 2.5 years or more or whatever delinquent. Really?
Alright, so anyone like to make a motion for the zoning hearing board solicitor, which would be Orlando? So I don't know the number for that, it's in our packet here. So it's more or less a resolution of the board of supervisors, Robeson Township, confirming the appointment of solicitor for the Robeson Township zoning hearing board. And that would be Eugene Miranda Jr., Orlando Law Offices, PC.
I'll make that motion for
Well,
G.
we don't even have any of the number.
No, number.
Okay, so how do you make a resolution? How do you do this?
It's
So it's there.
It is here?
It's in our it's in your packets from Attorney Orlando's office.
Are we sure that's accurate?
It's his July 8th, 2024 letter.
Are we sure that's accurate? Has somebody checked that? We've had some problem with misnumbering of resolutions, and it's been frankly a disaster.
We got a resolution number. Okay, I thought you were talking about the fee amount.
No, there's a number. We have,
We have one for last Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I might have heard the number on one, I'm sure. Yeah.
do we have one?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Last one?
For what it's worth, we were told in the office that we cannot number the resolutions until they were signed. And that came from a former township manager. He said that whenever they're being proposed, they end in 00, in case the one coming after it was given, in case the first one wasn't signed, so then it would have been an incorrect number. So upon them being signed, they are then allocated a number.
So we don't allocate a number till after the fact.
That's what we were told in the office, yes.
You say told by a prior manager. Who was that?
The manager before Mr. Howard.
Was that Mr. Orwig, to your
Yes.
knowledge? Okay. Well, I don't know that that's accurate. Mr. Orwig is no longer with us. He passed suddenly and sadly. However, I don't know that I would certainly agree with that, and there's a question. Understand something, folks. My opposition to Ms. London's and her firm's representation here is not a reflection on her ability or her firm's ability. It's a different objection. So that's the kind of thing that, as we're doing the agenda, her office would certainly assist with making sure we have numbers, et cetera.
I can tell you that Mr. Howard has always felt free to call in with questions and has done so. I mean, I believe you can adopt a resolution with a number pending, as long as the substance of the resolution is announced in the meeting.
Well, it's not certainly the best procedure, but one of the problems we've had here is when the township manager is going back and forth with her solicitor or somebody else that we don't see. It's been an objection of mine for a number of years. I would like to see the emails from our solicitor go to every board member, and I would like to see,
We would
when
like to
we
continue.
respond, that the entire board, those who wanna get it, get a copy of those. And a lot of this stuff could be added off.
I will say though, in Mr. Irwig's defense, Mr. Irwig was an experienced, retired municipal solicitor, so I understand he struggled with the position because of his health, but, he had, at least 40 years of municipal experience.
So we can still do these resolutions and appoint the numbers.
I believe you can. You adopted it as resolution, number pending, and the substance of the resolution.
So would anyone like to make a motion to confirm the appointment of solicitor for the Rutland Township Zoning Hearing Board and appoint that number later? Anyone like to make a motion, like I said, would be either Eugene Orlando Jr. or Orlando Law Offices, PC.
Made that motion, yes?
Anyone like to make a second? I'll second, roll call, Mrs. Joy.
Yes.
Mr. Gallow.
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mr. Bittler.
I'll vote no.
No, yes. And then also in the package is a resolution fixing the Robeson Township fee schedule to adjust the township services for solicitor fees. And that was in the packet. And it would be $230 an hour for shareholders, $195 an hour for associates, and $170 an hour for paralegals. Anyone like to make a motion for that?
Before we do that, Mr. Chairman, wouldn't it be good that if some questions could be answered among the boards, before we automatically run and incur hundreds of dollars per hour, that we try and address it within our own board?
Don't we have this one?
That's the proper, in my opinion, a more efficient and proper way to do it. You know, half the time the board does not, the entire board certainly does not really know what the issues are.
You're the only one of us who has a clue. We know.
Well, anyone like to make a motion for that resolution for the amendment to the fee schedule?
I'll make a motion to accept that resolution number pending to amend the fee schedule for solicitor.
That's one.
I'm sorry.
I'll second, roll call, Mrs. Joy,
Yes.
Mr. Gallow,
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mr. Bittler.
I'll vote no.
Yes. Alright, so now we're.
Before we move on, Mr. Chairman, wouldn't it be appropriate, and I understand our manager for whatever reason isn't here tonight, to see a budget, a 6-month snapshot of where we are, not just these expenses. So with what we've just done there, with just incurring that,
What do you mean?
I don't know, a complete up-to-date budget, where we're ahead, where we're behind.
No problem asking this question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't see a big deal about it,
A
but it would,
compare and contrast with what we've adopted.
it would be nice if you would ask in advance through an email, which you never respond to by this board
Well,
or by the
there's a
manager.
real concern with
No.
emails, there's a real
Answer.
concern with emails done outside the public domain.
You don't want me starting on that one, so let's go with that.
So we are going to get an
Chris,
updated budget.
What'd you say, Chris?
We're going to.
Do we have that, ma'am,
Yeah, we're going to number
at
6.
the office? Am I able to pick that up tomorrow at the office? A comparison,
Don't,
a budget?
I think it should be
The
shared.
process
Do not.
process is about to be started for that.
Say that again, I'm
The
sorry.
process is about to begin for that.
so you'll have to. vote
Meaning,
this
meaning,
month.
if a taxpayer, if we wanna put this on the website, we could have a budget that says, this is what we approved 6 months ago, and this is where we are now.
Rich
Are we
isn't
able
here.
to do that?
Don't put
That will
her
be
on the
manager
spot.
Roberts.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, someone's talking over me.
Yes, because you're putting her on the
We'll have
spot.
that for the workshop.
And you're using two employees, so no.
We'll have that for the workshop. Okay.
You guys have a copy of the report from the past month?
Yeah, since we have it in our possession.
Saturday, there'll be a pancake breakfast that we resort to from 8 to 11, that the fire company is participating in. Quite a welcome show,
That's a fundraiser for you?
yes.
How much of your budget, your annual budget, the reports don't contain a whole lot of financial information? It's better than no report, which we have at your, we'll call it sister company. It's better than no report, but how much of your budget is based on fundraising versus
No,
what?
I have that available to me right this second. We can work something out for you.
Have you been able to make ends meet the last couple of years?
We've survived, we're still here.
But one time we had a dedicated fire tax, a small millage. I was involved in that enactment, it's since been dropped. But that creates a dedicated, in my mind, funding base that people who own property pay a small share. Might be something we want to look at.
That can be discussed during budget.
Yeah.
Anything
That's
else?
the budget thought process, not
Anything
a
else?
now thought process.
Any-
That's what we have.
And that comes from a guy who doesn't raise taxes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, well now, well, thank you very much. And we have minutes, expenses, and reports, and then we'll make a motion to accept the minutes, expenses, and reports in our possession.
Make that motion.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Roll call, Mr. Joy. Yes. Mr. Gallow.
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes. Yes. Mr. Bittler.
No.
Alright, anything to add since Thursday?
No, I don't have anything for you outside of what was in my report. I believe we addressed all my agenda items at the workshop meeting. So unless you have questions of me, I don't have anything for you tonight.
Okay.
Aaron's invitation.
Alright, Joan?
Okay, the board has in its packet a draft amendment repealing and replacing the current solicitation ordinance. It was put in your packets for this meeting for purposes of comment. Sergeant Rimby had one comment. He wanted to see an actual background check in section 203A, the second to last bullet point. He wanted that statement as to whether applicant has ever been convicted of a crime, and the answer is in the affirmative, then nature, punishment imposed, and completion of sentence or other punishment. He wanted to see a background check in lieu of that. I did some brief research as to whether other similar solicitation ordinances required a background check, which is a $25 fee to the Pennsylvania State Police. Some did, some did not. There was one, Radnor Township in Delaware County, that actually had a $200 fee and required the submission of fingerprints. But that is, I don't think, what we're looking for. So the question I have is, because of Sergeant Rimby's recommendation, do you want to change 203A to require the background check, or do you want to keep it as it is? And then the second question is whether the board has any further questions. And or any other comments or proposed revisions.
Duty calls.
If they say,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a good idea. I'm not
Yeah.
a fingerprint.
No.
No, that's,
I don't think I'm in
background
favor
check.
of that provision at all.
of any background check or
Yeah,
any.
I don't know that we need that, but this kind of come to us a little bit late. Did Officer Rimby give you any suggestion, Officer Cooper, as to what he was thinking?
No,
You know where he got that information from?
I do not.
I think we
Probably
should
from
just,
another-
I think we should reflect on this till next workshop, that's what I think.
Harold?
I guess, Jeff, you might know the answer to this. In order to get the background, you have to give fingerprints, right?
No.
No, I
No,
think,
you
I thought it was
You
a
can do it
fingerprint
online.
check.
I think
I
that,
do mine.
yeah,
It's called patch.
I think that may be the difference between the Radnor Township's approach with the submission of fingerprints and $200 fee versus a $25
No,
background.
I mean, I thought when you went for the state police background check, you gave fingerprints.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, there may be, as I said, there may be some enhanced version of the background check for the $200 versus the $25. But that may be the.
I never have one for my notary, and all they wanted was, basic information.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get child abuse and I get the background check, so I'm not sure which one requires what, but I know that we had to be fingerprinted.
Well, does anybody, we want to wait till the workshop, have other suggestions, ask Sergeant?
Why don't we just get back to him, he's on indication
See
yet?
what
Yeah.
the background
Get
check
back to him and
was.
ask, but I don't know if we're off the background check. Well, let's face it, do you know what you're getting into with the Wouldn't you rather know what you're getting into with the background check if you know something's wrong but you're not sure what they're doing?
We'll see what he says on this.
Yeah, that's what I mean, we can roll this over to the August workshop meeting, and I can speak with Sergeant Rimby further about it, about what the background check for that $25 fee would entail versus a more detailed background check, and what that $25 background check would reveal about an individual, how far back it would go, and would it only reveal certain types of offenses. So I can, again, I can get further information as to why that was requested, and why he believes that is a good idea.
Sounds like a winner.
Yeah, are there any further questions about the proposed solicitation ordinance? Okay, the next item is the amendment to the traffic ordinance, which was advertised in the Reading Eagle on July 5th for adoption this evening. And that ordinance reduces the speed limit to 25 miles per hour on a portion of Old River Road. There had been a correction made since the last meeting, and that is changing the township designation to T361 for Old River Road. Otherwise, everything is the same as what the board saw and authorized.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll need a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we enact this 25 mile an hour speed limit traffic on Old River Road / T361.
With an ordinance number to be added later
Yes,
again.
that's correct, yes. And we'll be more vigilant about that in the future.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Mrs. Joy,
Yes.
Mr. Gallow,
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes,
Yes.
Mr. Fiddler,
Yes.
I vote yes.
Can I ask a quick question about that? When they put the signs up, are they able to put them child at play underneath as well, or no?
That's
Because there
not-
are a lot of kids on
Right,
the street.
it's not within this ordinance, but that can, if you want to note a request to the Board of Supervisors, it's something we can
Ron, what's
consider.
the process for that?
I was gonna say, we have to go through something.
Yeah,
that
I
we
don't-
want.
We can look into that, they can't go on the same sign, so I think, let's get these signs up first. We did give the road crew, some advisory information on posting these, with some new, like red triangles to go on top to really, it's a PennDOT approved method to call your attention to the reduced speed limit. But we can discuss the children at play. Is that a significant issue in the area with the?
With them
Just
flying
when
on the
they
road.
come off of 724 when there's an accident, and when the bars open Thursday, Friday night, or Monday burger night, not that the bar's a problem, but we just try to keep the kids off the street, you know what I mean?
How are the burgers there?
It's
Excellent.
better than 7-star steak, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm on that. Yep.
Are you guys gonna continue looking at traffic calming, or are you?
I think that's a good idea. I mean,
I mean, 'cause I personally, the speed limit reduction is fine, but you're not gonna reduce the speed. We have speed limit going through Gibraltar, 35, and they're still booking through here at 70. So traffic calming is,
I think if
Yeah,
it works in countries, I think it could work in a township.
Yeah, there was just an article in the Reading Eagle about them discussing funding for traffic calming in the city.
Yeah, I think I thought that stuff.
yeah, so from what I read, they originally expected the traffic to be reduced by 40%, was actually the actual numbers were 60 in areas where they applied to traffic calming.
Yeah, I thought that some of that stuff seemed very interesting.
And, you know, this is just gonna keep going on and on and on, and once you make it more difficult or slow them up, they're gonna find some other way to go.
724.
Well, no, 422.
I don't think so, Mr. Steve.
Well, we have to be allowed our delusions.
All right, anything else?
Now, unless the board has any questions, that's all I have.
And then this other vote for next time, part that we talked about. For the EAC, there's a correction of that July 21st, it was, it's the first Saturday in August instead, at 9 AM. Because they posted a EAC cannot be there on July 21st.
Yes, I'd like to discuss the Bitler versus Township matter in this one.
Folks, that's litigation I filed against the township involving
Which
a matter
you
that
will have
we-
to pay for, which you forgot to tell you.
Wait a second, let's explain it. That's litigation I filed against the township with respect to a resolution that impacts our recording and audio. So under protest, and as clear example, it appears under that ordinance that we're gonna be having to pause that, thereby denying me my opportunity and other
You
people,
eavesdrop on everyone
thereby
while we're out of
denying
the
me
room.
and other people the opportunity to communicate. So Jennifer?
So we're back in session at 8:08.
Okay, and,
In case anybody just joined us, I would state again, we're live streaming and recording.
We had a brief executive session update on litigation and the hearing yesterday on the preliminary injunction in front of Judge Lisa.
Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn at 8:09?
I'll make that motion.
Under protest,
I
Mr.
second
Chairman,
that.
under protest, Mr. Chairman, again, appears agenda items after I'm required to turn off the, camera. So the board will continue to meet here or whatever as a quorum, and under protest, I'm gonna turn that off.
No one's meeting.
no one's meeting, we're out of here.
You're welcome to stay the whole time instead of